Hi, this is Sweet June. I'm back. Um, I want to talk about been something I've been marinating on for a while. Um, I was interesting because I've been looking at videos on here of um, men on here, um, and reading the blogs, and the men are the black. A lot of the black men are saying, not all, but a lot of the black men are saying, talking about they're talking about black women having children. Um, they're talking about men being able to opt out of fatherhood. They're saying that it's not right for um, women to have the right to have the child and and then go sue them for child support. And they're saying that the father should have the right to opt out of fatherhood if they don't want to be a father. So they're saying because of that, if they don't want to be a father, they get a woman pregnant and they don't want to be a father, um, they should be able to opt out of opt out of fatherhood, or the woman if he tells the woman that he doesn't want a baby or he doesn't want to be a father, then she should go ahead and have an abortion. I noticed that a lot of black men on YouTube are saying that, and I have a problem with that. Been marinating on that. I said, I'm gonna address this because I have a problem with that because they're saying that, well, a lot of people were saying, and there's even people in the blogs are saying, I've been reading the blogs, they've been saying, um, if a man doesn't want to be a father, then the woman needs to have an abortion, as if it's a form of birth control. I have a serious problem with that because abortion is not birth control. Abortion is murder, plain and simple. And I'm just getting tired. I've been hearing a lot of black men saying that. Here lately, they've been saying that, well, if a man doesn't want to be a father, then the woman should have an abortion. She can always have an abortion, as if it's some type of birth control method that she can. It's just as easy as her, um, just one, two, three, and it's murder, and it's taking a life. The Bible says life begins at conception. Jehovah God considers it a life at conception. So um, it's very disturbing that a man would expect a woman to go get an abortion, um, like as if to suggest that it's some type of form of birth control, simply because he doesn't want to be a father. Shouldn't he have thought about that before he had sex? So I said, well, I want to address this because um, I want to make it very clear that abortion is not birth control, it's murder. And it's not something to be taken lightly. Abortion is not something to be taken lightly. It's murder, plain and simple. It is murder. The Bible talks about the shedding of innocent blood, and God will hold you accountable for doing that. It's murder. And the mere thought that a man expects a woman to go have an abortion because he doesn't want to be a father. Um, you know, I've talked about this in my other videos about um, people not doing things God's way. When we don't, when we're out of the will of God, the problem is that when you're having sex outside of marriage, you are out of the will of God because God said, do not commit fornication. You're sinning against your body when you commit fornication. And so when you commit fornication, a lot of times there's consequences behind that. When you're outside, you go outside the will of God and you commit fornication, then there's consequences. The consequences are it's a possibility that you may catch a disease or there's an unplanned pregnancy. In a lot of cases, there's an unplanned pregnancy. that is the consequence of having sex outside of marriage. And my thought is this: if you don't want to be a father, why are you having sex with a woman that is not your wife? If that woman is not your wife, why are you having sex with her? Unprotected, without a condom. Particularly if you know that once that woman gets pregnant, then it's her decision or whether or not to keep the baby. Because once that woman becomes pregnant, then she can make the decision that she wants to have the abortion or she wants to have to give birth to the baby. Your reproductive choices, you put all that in that woman's hand, and when you have unprotected sex with a woman, you put all that in that woman's hands. When I think that I'm the type of person, I believe I'm a firm believer in personal responsibility, and I believe that when you're an adult, whether you're male or female, you are responsible for your own body, and a man should not put his reproductive choices all in a woman's hands. When you have unprotected sex with a woman, you are placing all your reproductive decisions on her. When you are a grown man and you're supposed to be responsible for your own body, taking responsibility for your own body is using a condom. Or try not even having sex with that woman if you're not married to her. Why would you have sex with a woman that you're not married to without a condom? You know what the consequences are. You know that there's a possibility that you could get this woman pregnant. And if you get this woman pregnant, you know that you don't want to be a father. If you know that you do not want to father a child with this particular woman, then first of all, why are you having sex with her? And even if you are going to have sex with her, then you need to take responsibility and use a condom. If you don't use a condom, then you have to suffer the consequences. If the woman gets pregnant, you are not to expect her to go get an abortion. Because, oh, I don't want to be a father. Well, you should have thought about that. This idea of men putting all the blame on women is ridiculous. Because unless the woman is putting a gun to your head and she's forcing you to have unprotected sex with her, then you made a choice. You made a choice to lay down with that woman unprotected and have sex. We have choices. You made a choice just like that woman made a choice. And I do a videos addressing the females about having sex outside of marriage and having children outside of marriage and single motherhood. I do videos talking about that and addressing the ladies on here. Well, I'm addressing this to the men. I'm not letting the men off the hook because I'm getting sick and tired of reading the blogs and looking at videos and men saying that, well, a man gets a woman pregnant, well, she needs to get an abortion if he doesn't want to be a father. Well, try not having sex with that woman in the first place or using protection. Because, first of all, you shouldn't be having unprotected sex with a woman that is not your wife. And if you have unprotected sex with this woman and she gets pregnant, then you have to face the consequences. Why are you expecting her to have an abortion? Abortion is murder. Abortion is not birth control. It's murder. You say go have an abortion like it's a form of birth control. It's not a form of birth control. It's murder, plain and simple. And I'm very disturbed by that. That's very disturbing to me that a man would expect a woman to just go run to an abortion clinic and get an abortion simply because he doesn't want to be a father. When it's clear that he should have thought about that before he laid down with a woman. You have a brain. You have a brain in your head, in the head that's connected to your neck. You need to use it. And if you know that beforehand, you don't want to father a child with this woman, then you either not get sexually involved with her or you need to use protection. And so I'm just getting tired of this theory that men are putting all the blame on women for children being born out of wedlock in the black community. What is up with that? What is up with men putting all the blame on women? It takes two people to make a baby. I always say it takes two irresponsible people to make a baby, because if at least one person was being responsible, there would be no baby. That's why I say. What is this theory that of black men not taking, not all black men, but a lot of black men not taking responsibility for their choices that they're making? If you get a woman pregnant, then you need to man up and you need to suffer, face the consequences, and you need to take responsibility. That's being a real man. Being a real man is taking responsibility for your actions. Because if you know you don't want to be a father beforehand, then why are you laying down with this woman in the first place? You shouldn't be laying down with this woman, and this woman is not your wife, unless she's your wife. And then when you get her pregnant, you expect her to go run to the abortion clinic and murder and murder an innocent child, to take an innocent child's life because you don't want to be a father. I don't know how these men sleep at night with that mentality. I don't know how they sleep at night knowing that they're even thinking about wanting a woman to take a baby's innocent life, because it is shedding of innocent blood. You are taking an innocent life. I don't care what nobody say. It is a life. It is an innocent life. And this theory of putting all the blame on a woman and saying it's all her fault. How is it all her fault? A woman can't get pregnant by herself. I made this point in one of my other videos. Women, we can't reproduce ourselves. I think it's some type of insect that does that, can do that. I think it's an insect that can reproduce, and I don't know what it is. Female women do not have the ability to reproduce ourselves. Our eggs cannot get reproduced, fertilized, unless there's a sperm cell to fertilize it. Okay? Unless a woman is putting a gun to your head and she's forcing you to have unprotected sex with her and get her pregnant, then you're just as responsible for that baby as she is. It's just as much your responsibility as it is of her's responsibility. And I do not agree with that at all. And God doesn't agree with it. You know? And this theory of people saying, oh, she need to get an abortion, he doesn't want to be a father. What about the baby? What about the baby's life? What about this poor little innocent child? So abortion is not birth control, it's murder. And to tell a woman that she needs to go have an abortion, it has emotional, it affects the woman emotionally, it affects the woman physically. Yes, it affects the woman physically, and it affects the woman emotionally. And then on top of that, you're taking an innocent baby's life. So nothing good comes out of having an abortion. Nothing good comes out of a woman having an abortion and killing a baby. And I'm getting tired of these men saying, well, she needs to have an abortion. Well, no, you need to keep it in your pants and only have sex with your wife or use protection. And this theory of putting all this blame and responsibility on the woman is pathetic. It's just pathetic. And it shows the irresponsibility of the men in the community when a man says that. Two people, it's just as much your fault as it is hers, because it takes two people to make a child. And if you get that woman pregnant and she doesn't want to have an abortion, that is her decision. That is her decision, and she doesn't want to go in an abortion clinic to kill a child, to kill an innocent baby. You say it like it's just simple as 1, 2, 3, and it's a birth control method. It's not a birth control method. And then to make it so bad, some of these same men will come on YouTube and they'll say, "Oh well, black women be having all these abortions." Some of these same men that be hollering that are some of the same men that come on YouTube talking about how many abortions black women have. Black women be having all these abortions. I mean, that's if that's not a contradiction, I don't know what is. But then you turn around and say, well, if she gets pregnant by a man and that man doesn't want to be a father, she needs to have an abortion. But then you turn around in another breath and say, well, black women are having so many abortions, they have more abortions than anybody, and yada this and yada that. That doesn't make any sense. But you're saying if a man doesn't want to be a father, then the woman needs to have an abortion. You're either for abortion or you're against it. Which one is it? But then they bellyache about and talk about and bash black women, saying that black women have the most abortions and all that. Because I know there's one guy on here, and I'm not going to say what his name is, but he's known for bashing black women. He'll come on here and talk about how black women have all these abortions and stuff like that. But then he'll turn around and say, well, if a man doesn't want to be a father, then the woman needs to have an abortion. What kind of sense does that make? That doesn't even make any sense. One breath you're talking about how many abortions black women are having, but then you turn around and recommend that a woman has an abortion. It's like a contradiction. You are contradicting yourself. You know, it's just ridiculous. Some of the same men that be talking about uh, bashing black women for having a bunch of abortions, those some of those same guys will turn around and say she needs to have an abortion if the man doesn't want to be a father. That's what gets me. It doesn't even make any sense. But I'm here to tell you, I'm here to let you know that abortion is murder. It's plain and simple. It's murder. It is not a birth control. Abortion is not a birth control method. It is not a birth control method. A birth control is to prevent the pregnancy from happening in the first place. Birth control, abortion is not birth control because the baby is already in her belly, and it's a life at the time of conception. It is a life at the time of conception, and it's murder. It's murder, plain and simple. It's murder. By the time most women have an abortion, she's usually about 3 or 4 months along, because most women don't find out they're pregnant till about the third month. By that time, the baby has arms, legs, nerve endings, and all that. So, um, it's murder. Abortion is murder, plain and simple. It is murder. And for a man to tell a woman to have an abortion because he doesn't want to be a father, I just want to let you know that God is listening to you. He's listening to you, and He's going to hold you accountable for that. That is murder. You're telling her to go murder an innocent child, an innocent life. You're telling her to go take an innocent life. And guess what? He gonna hold you accountable. It's like if somebody gonna murder somebody, and you're with this person when they murder this person, then the court gonna send you to jail as an accessory to that, because you was with this person, you knew that this person murdered this person, and you was with the person when the person murdered this other person. So they gonna send you to jail for, and they call that being an accessory. So um, that's what Jehovah God is going to hold you accountable. If that woman goes to have an abortion, after you told her to have an abortion, he's gonna hold you accountable as well, because you're an accessory to that murder of that innocent little baby. And yes, you will be held accountable for it. So when you say women should have an abortion, God is listening. He's listening to you, and it's murder. I mean, it's just something I was marinating on, and it was really disturbing to me. I was hearing a lot of guys on YouTube and in the blogs, and even some women saying that. And it was, I said, this, I had to address it. It was on my heart, and I had to address it. And I just want to make it very clear that abortion is not a form of birth control. It's murder, plain and simple. Okay? Stay tuned. I got some more interesting videos. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Be respectable. I don't want to hear any, you know, if I do, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get blocked. Um, I got some more interesting video topics coming up. Just to speak to you.